Have you ever tried to do something and just be okay at it? You ever pour a lot of your time into something and it's just okay? You ever buy a game and it's just okay? And like, that's fine. Well, I have before, and I'm here to say it's okay. Let's talk about it. There's this game I like a fair bit more than the average person called the Callisto Protocol, and I've played it. And it's just okay. I played this game close to launch. Well, I waited like 4 days for the game to be fixed, which really hurt the game's public perception. And that sucks, but the game does not. I remember watching a bunch of reviews for this game, and they were all mostly negative, or like middling. But today, I wanted to talk about why I like the game and kind of the response from this game. Callisto Protocol is a survival horror experience, and it's in my opinion like the first next gen game. It's visually amazing. Like The Last of Us 2 was crazy, but this game on PC, best looking game I've ever played. The graphics are so great, the animation's so good, and the performance capture on this game is next level. It goes way harder than your typical horror game experience, and it's so cool. But this game's looks aren't the only thing I can compliment. The game's combat is also pretty fucking tight. A lot of people who ragged on the combat seem to not really understand it because it's pretty different, but eventually people did understand and grow to appreciate it. The game also has a pretty neat story that tries to impart something onto the player, which is rare, and I wish more games these days would try to do something like that. And it's also a game that just gets a bad rap for being just okay, and I don't think that's okay, so I made this. One of the most hated aspects of the game that I actually liked is the punch-out style combat and its melee-centric gameplay. It's not for everyone, but I think it's a pretty good combat system. You see, when the enemy is about to swing, you hold a direction to dodge in that direction. If you pick the wrong direction, you get hit, and each enemy has different patterns and variations. So you, as the player, have to gauge when is a good time to strike or when is a good time to dodge. You're also rewarded for not just holding the dodge button, as if you tap it right before you get hit, you can trigger a perfect dodge that most of the time will let you skip the enemy's turn entirely, making it your turn. Once it's your turn, you can do a little combo that knocks them back, and then you can lock onto the enemy to potentially do like a power shot that deals more damage than normal. It's pretty cool, and the combat deepens the further in the game you get. You have a lot of environmental hazards that you can use to assist you, and the grip that's like straight out of Dead Space that lets you yoink items or enemies and toss them away. You can also use it to bring a projectile spinning enemy up to you so you can get up close and personal. You can also use it to reset a combo so you can keep wailing on an enemy if you don't think the normal finisher would finish them off. You can also fling enemies into hazards, or fling them away if you're being ganged up on, or fling them at each other. It's a really cool combat system that, in my opinion, greatly plays with the environment and requires some situational awareness, which is so awesome. One thing I noticed about this game is people thought it would be like Resident Evil 4. If you boot this game up and try playing it, like Dead Space or RE4, you're gonna have a bad time. Ammo in this game is super scarce, and guns don't do a ton of damage. Your most effective combat option will always be your baton. The game doesn't communicate this too well, and there's people who only upgraded their guns, and then were understandably upset when their upgraded guns still did no damage, and they had to wail on enemies with their super weak, unupgraded baton. Getting up close and personal and kind of learning to appreciate the details on the enemies is something you'll have to do, and I think the game is cool for having a more engaging, more active combat system. In horror games, this is something we usually don't see too often. Now, compared against Resident Evil 4, I think Resident Evil 4 combat is better baked, more fun, and cooler, but like they're very different. I feel like RE4 kind of outclasses Dead Space to me when it comes to the combat. While the vibes are different, the general gameplay is kind of similar. Callisto gives me something I've never really seen before combat-wise, and I like that. It sucks that other people weren't able to appreciate it as much as I think it deserved to be. Now, you might be looking at the game and think, wow, this game looks fucking cool. Lock Island Prison is such a great location for a video game. It has a lot of areas and set pieces. I'm not going to spoil the cooler parts of this game, but there's a part towards like the latter half where something happens and it's just like, wow, my machine is doing this. Like visually, it's a holy shit moment. All this coupled with the game's pretty immersive audio. Was amazing. Each part of this game is pretty cool. However, the way you get there isn't always cool. You see, this game isn't like a Resident Evil game, which it was heavily marketed as. There is very, very limited backtracking in this game. Sometimes there's extra paths to go down, but rarely will you find yourself backtracking. There's also no map, because you only really move forward. For some people, this is a huge disappointment. For me, I see it both ways. I like a game that feels non-linear and are all about exploration, but I also like games that are like roller coasters. In this game's a roller coaster. In the best and worst ways. You see, a lot of progression is gated behind the sexy PlayStation crevice. You know that one little like crevice in the wall? You know that wall vagina you have to like shimmy through to help the game load? This game has those. It also has loading tunnels. And you'll crawl through these air vents to get to new areas a lot. And clearly it's to mask the game's loading and to make it a seamless experience. And I get it, and it works. And it's more interactive and less immersion breaking than like a loading screen for sure. But still, an awful lot of this game, like a lot, more than your average game I feel, is crawling through these damn pipes or shimmying through these damn wall crevice vagina things. It's... They needed to find a better way to do this. They should have done something else. They should have toned it down a bit. Story-wise, the game is interesting and not bad, but it has a lot of fucking PUBG stuff in it. And I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what the fuck goes on in a PUBG. I've never played the PUBG, and I never will. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna pretend that shit's not there. Fuck you, Crafton. Anyways, it's about being complacent and how in blindly going along with something that you suspect is fishy might be, not good. It's a narrative about not perpetuating bad things. The major characters are all performed so well, and while not the most impactful thing you'll see in a game, it's very nice and very cool in my opinion, and something that you should check out. Just ignore the fucking PUBG bullshit. God damn it, get out of here. No!
Let's take this shit out, gamers.
I think what's really important to talk about in regards to this game is its public perception. When this game was revealed, they showed some of the best sections of this game in a super gory death. That was super impactful and got people really hyped. Then they showed that the people who did Dead Space, namely Glenn Schofield, did this game as well. So hype was high, and some minor studio issues came to head, and there was also some crunch culture happening at the studio as well, as a really unfortunate case of what I'm guessing was the wrong file being launched for the PC version. The game launched in a very rough and buggy state, because according to developers, they made some last-minute changes and needed to fix it. And that sucks, but when you pay $60 for a game, you kind of expect it to work. And then you look at how rough reviews were for this game. They kind of forced the game to be something that it was not. A lot of reviewers, and both conglomerate and independent, were kind of whooshed by the game's combat and upset the game didn't really have any backtracking. And I get that. We want a game to be just like this, or even this. But it's not that, and it cannot be that, and it will not be that. Only that will be that. This is different. And what really puts the final nail in the coffin for this game is the reality of Callisto's protocol. It's not amazing. It's not awful either. It's just okay. Better than mediocre, but all that hype was built up, and it was just too much. The game was put in a situation where it needed to be more than just okay. A game from a new studio had to not only compete with the big boys, but also stand alongside or above the industry greats. And it didn't. The game simply buckled under the pressure. Now, the average, more nuanced take on Callisto Protocol is that it's pretty good, it's okay. But back then the take on the game was that it was garbage. That's because the game at the time had so much hype, so much energy behind it, and when it came out it was just okay. And that's okay. But when a game comes out and it's just okay, it'll have a hard time at reviews because there's no accurate review metric for an okay game. You're either flat out bad, very good, or amazing. That okay range does not exist in today's review scape for games that are launched. Over time, you can earn an okay, but if you're okay, you're probably going to be considered bad at launch. And I don't like that. I feel like reviewers need to be more earnest with their reviews, because nowadays, numbers 6 to 7 that should mean okay to good are now delegated to games that are fucking garbage. And our response as a consumer to genuinely creative works that genuinely try to do something can be crushing to the creators. Glenn Schofield has left striking distance, and that sucks. But rumor has it that he's working on something new, and then we're also going to be getting a new game from the same studio. Hopefully this all pans out into something that's very good. And hopefully next time any game comes out and it's just okay, you realize that it's okay to be okay. Also, if you see the Callisto Protocol on sale, go pick it up. It's a pretty okay game. Hey, it's me, Stinky Man. This one was a bit late. I accidentally lost a lot of things while making this. The second time I've made this. Very cool. Very exciting. I'll be back with a new one sooner than expected. Ooh, exciting. Hopefully you check it around. Hopefully you check a look and see what I'm doing. I'm also going to be streaming on Twitch live. I'm going to be playing Lies of P. Gonna see how that game. We're gonna see what P's all about. I don't know. Check out the Twitch, like, follow, subscribe, give me your dingle, and hopefully you have a great day. Bye bye.